This is CBS News New York.
Right now, the manhunt expands in the Midtown CEO murder from Central Park to the Deep South, and yet another new image of the person of interest. Also developing, music icon Jay-Z, accused of assaulting a teen. The new claims linked to Sean Combs. And breaking overseas, a regime toppled. Syria's president flees the country, and citizens hit the streets to celebrate. And from the Yankees to the Mets, Juan Soto signs the biggest contract ever in Major League Baseball. And get ready for a little rain today, the forecast. It may be dry this morning, but that's going to change this afternoon. We also have a first alert about more rain later in the week and some plunging temperatures. Good morning. It's Monday, December 9th. I'm Chris Raggi.
And I'm Mary Calvi. Let's get right over to Tony Sadiku, who has your first alert forecast from the virtual studio. 6 o'clock right now. Hey, Tony.
Hi there, Mary Chris. Yeah, things are looking good out the door right now. But even though it was pretty quiet weekend, too, it's pretty eventful in terms of what we're looking for this week. Rounds of rain, the first of 2 comes in this afternoon. There will be a lull in the action tomorrow before we really dial it back up come Wednesday. I want to show you the system we're tracking. And there it is right now. The soggy weather across most of the East Coast, and that is our first batch. It comes in with a warm front, so yeah, temperatures will continue to climb. That's good, right? If you want the milder air, that's going to be coming in. In fact, out the door right now, you can already feel the difference in temperatures, right? So many of you may not necessarily need the heavy coats out the door. Checking in Harlem at 43 degrees. Numbers above average in Nyack, too. It's 35, but it's chilly in West Milford, below freezing for you. How about Stamford, 34 degrees? Move out the way, you see Valley Stream. There's 35. Let me show you where we're headed from here. So temperatures will move, but it's going to be a slow and steady climb. Most of the day spent in the 40s. Could we manage about 50 degrees under increasing clouds? And there you see those rain chances climbing. We'll take a closer look, time it out, and talk about the first alert weather day on Wednesday in a bit. But first, let's get you ready for that morning commute and say hello to Guy Stanier. Good morning, Guy.
Good morning, Tony. We have a problem in Queens. We have a crash. 2 lanes are blocked on the westbound side of the LIE at Van Dam Street. Heavy delays now approaching the Grand Central Parkway. We still have these subway issues in Queens. The E and F trains are running with delays due to planned track work along the lines. Checking Mass Transit's Big 4, everything running on or close to schedule for Metro North, Path Trains, New Jersey Transit, and the LIRR. Alternate side parking is suspended today for Immaculate Conception, but you still have to pay the meters. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Guy, thank you. Now to the expanding manhunt for the suspect in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Police continue to search Central Park for clues both on land and in water. Elijah Westbrook joins us live from Central Park with more on where the investigation stands. Elijah.
Well, Mary and Chris, I'll tell you this, we're standing in this general area of Central Park this hour because there behind me near the Bethesda Fountain is where over the weekend we watched NYPD dive teams search the water for a potential gun that was used to kill CEO Brian Thompson. We know at this hour the search is expanding outside of New York City. This says the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward leading to an arrest, while the NYPD is offering a $10,000 reward.
The search for the person of interest who police say shot and killed United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson continues this Monday morning. This as NYPD dive teams spent the weekend looking for the gun used to kill Thompson. The scene right near the iconic Bethesda Fountain here in Central Park. Police say that weapon is critical to the investigation because with it, detectives can potentially find out where it was purchased and who owned it. For now, police say the lack of concrete evidence is why they're referring to the man seen in these surveillance photos as a person of interest.
The event was obviously well planned out.
Police sources say the search is expanding to Greyhound bus stations between New York and Atlanta as they work to figure out where the man boarded the bus that brought him here to the city. The latest photos from the NYPD shows the person of interest with his mask on in the back of a taxi. But the most telling photo yet is this one, when he briefly lowered his mask to talk with an employee at the Upper West Side hostel where he had been staying, police say. Retired cop Tom Walsh had this to say.
I think his mistake was probably putting his mask down so that the whole world can see who he is.
On Friday, police discovered a backpack they believe belonged to that man. They say in it, a jacket was found. However, sources tell CBS News that it wasn't the one worn during the shooting. Fake Monopoly money was also found in the bag, but no gun.
They found the backpack here in Central Park. So it would only make sense that that's a good dumping ground for a gun.
And back out here live, police say the person of interest was last seen at the Port Authority bus terminal in Washington Heights about 45 minutes after the killing took place. We're live this morning here in Central Park. Elijah Westbrook, CBS News, New York.
Elijah, thank you. We'll be staying on top of the story as the manhunt continues. And for a closer look at the timeline of the investigation, just go to cbsnewyork.com.
Well, now to breaking news. Police sources tell CBS News New York an MTA worker is in custody this hour after he allegedly slashed a subway rider inside a Brooklyn station. This happened just before 2 a.m. inside the Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center subway station. Police say the 47-year-old victim suffered a cut above his eye. We're hearing from police sources the two men argued after the passenger accused the MTA worker of getting bleach on him while cleaning the platform with a chemical. Investigators say the victim is listed in stable condition at Methodist Hospital.
Now to a developing story. Hip-hop mogul Jay-Z is accused in a lawsuit of raping a 13-year-old girl along with Sean Diddy Combs back in the year 2000.
The civil suit was filed against Combs in October and was refiled Sunday in New York to add Jay-Z to the list of defendants. Alan Devlin is here with those allegations for us. Alan?
Yeah, the accusations center on the Video Music Awards hosted here in New York City 24 years ago. The woman says both superstars raped her at an after party. The lawsuit states that a then 13-year-old girl went to the VMAs here in New York without a ticket, hoping to get inside. And that's when a limo driver who claimed to work for Combs invited her to a VMA after party. The driver took her to the party where she claimed she was instructed to sign something that she now believes was a non-disclosure agreement. After being inside for a while, the plaintiff says she accepted a drink from a waitress, began to feel woozy, and went to her room to lie down. And that's when the lawsuit says both Combs and Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter, held her down and took turns raping her while an unnamed female celebrity watched. Both Combs and Carter have since come out and fully denied the claims, calling it a blackmail attempt and publicity stunt. Carter released a statement Sunday evening saying in part, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer named Tony Busby. What he had calculated was the nature of these allegations and the public scrutiny would make me want to settle. No, sir. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny." Combs was arrested in September and charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He's currently being held here in New York. Now, the plaintiff in the lawsuit, only identified as a woman from Alabama, is seeking unspecified damages. Mary?
Alan Devlin, thank you. 6:07 happening today. Jury deliberations will resume in the Daniel Penny subway chokehold trial, but jurors will only need to consider one lesser charge. The jury was deadlocked most of the day Friday on the other more serious charge Penny faced, second-degree manslaughter. Penny's attorneys asked for a mistrial, but the judge sided with the prosecution's request to drop the manslaughter charge entirely. Jurors will now consider one count of criminally negligent homicide in the death of Jordan Neely, which carries a maximum prison sentence of up to 4 years. Penny has pleaded not guilty.
And now to breaking news, the fall of the Assad regime in Syria. They've been celebrating on the streets of Damascus after Syrian rebels took control of the country. In recent days, rebel forces rapidly advanced across Syria, taking over key cities, a major shift in a 14-year civil war. Russian state media reports President Bashar Assad and his family arrived in Moscow Sunday, where they were given asylum.
This dictator who has made the worst crimes of the 21st century alongside Russia and Iran and ISIS, all of these horrible people have been defeated.
It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria to build a better future for their proud country. It's also a moment of risk and uncertainty.
President Biden is pledging to support Syria and its neighbors against any threats, while President-elect Trump says the U.S. should stay out of the conflict in Syria, writing on social media, "This is not our fight." Much more on Syria coming up in our next half hour.
6:09, Andy Kim will officially begin his term as a U.S. Senator 3 weeks early. Kim will be sworn in today after New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy appointed him to the Senate yesterday. This follows the certification of Kim's election victory in November. Kim becomes New Jersey's first Asian-American senator. Governor Murphy says the early appointment will allow Kim to hit the ground running for the people of New Jersey and give him the smoothest transition possible.
Juan Soto has made his decision. ESPN reporting Soto will sign a record-breaking deal with The New York Mets. The 15-year contract with the Mets will pay Soto $765 million. It's the biggest contract in professional sports history. Mets will pay the 26-year-old Soto an average of $51 million a year. Also includes a $75 million signing bonus, an opt-out after year 5. The Mets were competing with the Yankees for Soto. John Heyman reporting the Yankees made Soto a 16-year, $760 million offer, but he is leaving the pinstripes and instead headed to Citi Field. A massive move and a massive shift in the dynamics in New York baseball for the Mets. And meteorologist Tony Sadiku is in our virtual studio this morning, ready to hit one out of the park for us. Hey, Tony.
And I know tears being shed, Chris, by Yankee fans everywhere this morning. Let's get in the coat closet and get you ready out the door, where some of you still will want the layers. Temperatures on the chilly side, but nowhere near as cold as it was last week. But hey, I'm alerting you because you got to go with the umbrellas and the rain gear today, because we've got showers coming in. I want to track it. We got a couple rounds of rain this week, some soggy weather, beneficial rain, but here comes the first round moving through this morning. And then we've got a much more significant system on the way by the middle of the week. That one will come with multiple impacts. We'll talk much more about it in your full First Alert forecast. But it's time for a First Alert traffic update. And Guy's got the latest. Hey, Guy.
Good morning, Tony. We're going to start in Queens. We have a crash. 2 lanes are blocked on the westbound LIE at Van Dam. Heavy delays are now approaching the Grand Central Parkway. Checking on Westchester's Big 5, traffic still moving well on the Cross County, the Hutch, the Sawmill, the Thruway, as well as the Bronx River Parkway. Alternate side parking is suspended today for Immaculate Conception, but you still have to pay the meters. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Okay, Guy, thanks. Coming up, demanding action against those mysterious drones appearing all over New Jersey, what some leaders are doing to stop these strange sights.
And this year's Kennedy Center honorees gather at the White House, and there are some New York names among this year's class.